is week 3, February 27th.
And I'm going to review just a little bit, because this is the point at which we start Raja Yoga proper, where we're doing the physical exercises, and we'll talk about the morality. But Raja Yoga, which is going to be the more, in some ways, the more challenging, but also what will really move into meditation proper. When we are doing meditation proper, this mantra technique will probably come at the end of the meditation. And as we learn the subsequent practices, they are added to the front of the practice. And then you end. If you've done everything, pretty close to correctly in the first series, when you do your mantra meditation and you say your Ishta mantra, then you should leave the planet. Basically, you've done pranayama, pratyahara, you've done dharana and dhyana. But the other element, of course, is the Nitti, or the moral aspect, which is really considered the foundation of the practice. Because one of two things happens if you don't have Nitti. Either your energy leaks away, or the energy creates compulsions, and you begin to have ways of being in the world that are harmful to yourselves or others. This has to all do with protecting the student, in terms of giving them practices that they have advanced to, but in the real order of potency is different than the order in which you receive the practices. So I'm just kind of saying, don't worry about pranayama I will give you. The next meeting won't be a pranayama that's going to have the effect of traditional pranayama as you explore it. And so I consider it not to be as dangerous as the traditional practices, the ways I'm giving them to you. They're more exploratory practices that can be made potent by your exploration, but they're not potent in my giving them to you. I'm not giving you the traditional practices that have been proven to be potent, that if I give them to you, you got to expect that yes, there's going to be an effect, and you got to prepare yourself for that effect. I'm not giving you those practices.
Can I ask, Jekyll, what kind of danger, what kind of energy experience?
Well, the thing about pranayama is really, in a sense, what the mind-body is made out of, the prana. And all of your thoughts and everything are really, in a sense, welling up out of pranayama. And when you do pranayama, whatever you have in your subconscious is strengthened. So your subconscious life begins to bubble up in you if you do pranayama proper. And so that then becomes expressed. If you don't understand how to work with the pranayama correctly. When I was in training in Blacksburg, Virginia, I actually was using pranayama like a drug. I would go in a pranayama state, I would lie down, I would allow myself to be open to what's in my subconscious, and I would have these like psychedelic trips, and I was kind of playing with it there, and just letting myself go on these psychedelic trips by letting whatever's in my subconscious come up vividly after I'd done a session of pranayama. And so that's what prana does. It intensifies your mind-body experience. Right now your mind-body experience has been dampened by conditioned habits and prejudices. Those always direct your energy in a certain way. So in a sense, it reduces your energy. All those habits and practices kind of create a lowered homeostasis. When you start releasing yourself from those habits and prejudices, then that energy the potency of that energy is released. So that's the state you're in as a result of your conditioned development. And so in a sense, it's a safe state. They always joke that, the demons aren't interested in us. People don't have any available energy to do anything spiritual with anyway. But as you begin to do the practice and you release your energy from those kind of prejudices and habits, and it becomes available, then the demon world becomes interested. You begin to glow. And they say, hey, well, there's a candidate. Well, we can turn him or turn her, and utilize that energy in some way to be effective. That's why you have to have a shelter, And then, not even thinking of demons, your own inner subconscious stuff, can take hold of, and it causes you to start having habits like if you weren't overeating or smoking and drinking, whatever, you can get these habits can become empowered over in your subconscious. But there's no fear of that here. What you're learning to do is contract the prana. And as when the prana comes to a state of cessation, it's powerful. It's really powerful. You get this apperceptive capacity to really know what a feeling perception relates to in the world. And then, as Steiner said, if you can bring your eye to that, you would even get things like color and sound and tone will be revelations of the spirit world. They reveal to you the spirit beings that lie behind those. That's different than just what happens out of the prana. The prana exercise only gives you a perception, a sort of clarity, but there isn't an understanding. The understanding comes through the work you do with the eye. Now, what I did in that little chart I made, I gave a general. I articulated the jamas, the traditional jama, which basically can be said to be like the don'ts, and I articulated the niyamas, which are sort of the do's. And then I gave a general kind of way you could, if you wanted to, create a correspondence with the Ten Commandments. There's also a link to the Ten Commandments I used on the line too, Wikipedia article on the Ten Commandments. So let me just go through here first, before we talk about sin and grace.
Do you have extras of that?
Yes. Brahmacharya is a really interesting one, because if you ask anybody who knows something about yoga, they'll say, what does brahmacharya mean? And they'll say, oh, it means to retention of semen. It means to be a renunciate. And renunciates are called brahmacharis. But that's not what brahmacharya means. That's the behavior of the brahmachari. Brahmacharya literally means attachment to Brahma. What's the effect of seeing Brahma everywhere and in everyone? Is that your attraction to the world is no longer based on things like male-female attraction. I like you because we wear the same kind of glasses. It becomes based on the fact that you see God everywhere. That's why the brahmachari can be a renunciate. That's how he overcomes his impulses in the world and becomes a renunciate, because God is everywhere. Everyone is God. That's all I see. That's the bearing of brahmacharya, of a brahmachari. So brahmacharya really means to see Brahma, to see God in all things. And by virtue of that practice, you become a renunciate. Two foundations of spirituality, earth and sky. Brahmacharya is the female aspect. It is the aspect of seeing God here on earth, the living presence of God, or the cosmic supreme consciousness. When you're living out of that spirituality, it means you're here in the forest, wherever you are, seeing God here. Sort of feminine aspect traditionally of experiencing spirituality. Ishvara Pranidhana is where I have my ideal God, the God that's in the sky, and I have a unique relationship with it. That's what Ishvara Pranidhana means, to run after the Ishvara, your ideal, your particular karmic relationship with God. And so you have this earth sky as the elements of spirituality. So true spirituality requires both of these, brahmacharya and Ishvara Pranidhana, the spirit bearing, and since I see God in the world, and spirit bearing when I have a special, unique relationship with my ideal of God. Ishvara Pranidhana and brahmacharya, which we have right now in the way we're using mantra. The Siddha mantra is related to brahmacharya. The Ista mantra is related to Ishvara Pranidhana, the different uses of those. So that composes spirituality.
So Japa, the yama, niyama, is that a way of saying the complementary, the headings out to the left there, yama, niyama?
Right.
Are those a way of breaking these into
Complement, that's what I've done.
complementary, so equivalent to yin yang and that sort of thing.
Yes, it could have, but yes, you can look at it as a yin-yang relationship, but basically I have organized these in complementary
Okay.
pairs. And then justice, the jama is ahimsa and asteya, which basically means no killing and no stealing. Ahimsa is no killing, and asteya is no stealing. And if you go to the link, it will articulate that that's not just an external act, but an internal act. That you can have a thought of harm that does harm in the world, and you can have the thought to steal, and ultimately ahimsa and asteya go not only to external actions but to internal actions. Which is why shausha and swadhyaya are important. Shausha means basically purity, cleanliness. It means cleanliness. It means have a pure mind, so that these sort of impulses don't arise. It's the practice of creating purity. And swadhyaya is the practice of understanding the word, scripture. You say scripture, or I'll say the word because it's really understanding the word. There's different ways you can relate to scripture. Some sense it's the word, as in the sense I am the word, and the word was before me, and the word will come after me. The logos of creation, the word, which in a sense you would say scripture is the manifestation of, is the articulation of. Scripture is the articulation of the logos of the world, or the word. So swadhyaya is practice the understanding of the word. What is the true logos in the world? So, and then this idea of cooperation. Cooperation, which is distinguished between socialization. So if we are in an endeavor in which we want to cooperate together, then we require satya, which is truth-telling. The relationship ultimately has to be honest. And tapa is a really interesting word in that it means both sacrifice and service. So it is the service that you achieve in the world through sacrifice or through compromise. It is that which you achieve in the world that serves others, but the elements that you have compromised or you have sacrificed. In doing some kind of aesthetic practice, I guess tapas are not the ones you get at the Mexican restaurant, but the sacrifices that you make to achieve some kind of service to God. Usually sacrifices are related to service to God, but service to others is service to God also. So usually you will sacrifice or some type of giving up of something. It's kind of like what Nitti is about in a way, that allows you to do the service, except in this case you're all about service being on the other side of that sacrifice. Sacrifice does not have value except that it brings service into the world. Service. And those are the components that are necessary for cooperating with others. Truth and the ability to sacrifice, for the service of others.
We hear Satyagraha, the Gandhian movement, and what does the Graha part mean? Do you know?
We're about to say that because we have a Parigraha as the next one.
Oh, there's
Graha literally means householding. And this is the way of householding. Satyagraha is a particular way of householding that Gandhi developed. Satyagraha means we don't buy salt from the British. We go down to the beach and make it. Satyagraha, correct, or true householding. A parigraha is not part satyagraha, but it means just that. It means only utilizing what you need for your own. So having that sense that I will not take from the world what I don't need. A parigraha is correct more than the true householding. It's correct householding. And santosha means contentment. Contentment. So obviously if you're not content, then a parigraha is hard to practice. Santosha is a state of contentment. And so I've related these, of course, to the Ten Commandments. and brahmacharya, having